Should you invest your hard-earned money in this whole package or not? Look at what Enhanced Autopilot does when it thinks it's still on the highway, but it has mistakenly entered a gas station. Let's start with the basics, literally. This is the standard autopilot that comes free with every Tesla, and this is the Enhanced Autopilot, which costs 3,800 euros, almost 4,000 US dollars. So what's the difference? Is it worth the money? How does it actually work, and what are the biggest downsides? Well, you're looking at one of them right now. Merging onto the highway is not something that works most of the time, and I would definitely recommend merging manually first, and only after that engaging autopilot. Even when it kind of works, merging on autopilot is extremely stressful and painfully slow. Look at what the car is doing. The lanes on the screen are jumping all around, but at least we're on the highway already. Our driver puts on the left turn signal, which tells Enhanced Autopilot we want to change lanes, and it visualizes its intentions on the screen, while also showing us the corresponding camera view to make sure we're clear to go. And even though we are, Autopilot fails in the middle of the maneuver and then returns back. Then we initiate the left turn signal again, and this time Enhanced Autopilot finally does its job. Phew, okay, now that the drama is over, I can finally explain to you how this all works. But first, a quick tip to make all versions of Autopilot better for you. Go to the car settings and allow usage of the interior cabin camera for Autopilot. This may result in way less steering wheel nags, since the camera can now monitor you for attention instead. This should work even better on newer cars with hardware 4. Now let's get to business. Paying for Enhanced Autopilot allows it to automatically change lanes, but it's never fully automatic here in Europe. The car will either suggest a lane change visualized on the screen, which you then have to confirm by initiating the correct turn signal, and then also by nudging the steering wheel. Enhanced Autopilot follows our navigation and needs to get off the highway. The last chance to do that in time is to merge in between these two trucks on the right, which Enhanced Autopilot suggests, but sadly fails at. We have to disengage Autopilot by pulling the steering wheel ourselves and change lanes manually, after which we put Autopilot in the driver's seat again to show you our first successful last-second highway exit, which was way too late, way too slow, and across the forbidden solid line. Now that we're off the highway, Enhanced Autopilot switches back to regular autopilot and loses the ability to follow navigation or change lanes, just keeps us in our current lane with auto steer and adaptive cruise control. And since neither the regular or the Enhanced Autopilot can handle any kind of intersection, it just slows down cautiously before this roundabout, and we have to take over to get back on the highway for our second run. If you liked the video so far, be sure to give us a thumbs up below the video to help spread high-quality Europe-based content about autonomous driving. Maybe if we get to hundreds of thousands of views, some of the regulators might even see this video and realize how bad we have it compared to the US. Because, as you can see, life without full self-driving is really hard, and the only thing stopping us from getting functional robo-taxis are EU regulations. Okay, let's get on to the next merge. We suggest that Autopilot actually merges onto the highway, and it fails multiple times again because it's too scared of the cars that aren't even in the adjacent lane and we're actively making space for us. Now the whole view is bugged because Autopilot didn't process correctly the merging lane disappearing and another lane appearing on the left. So it thought about the whole thing wrongly, but then it successfully merged onto the left. We're speeding up some parts of this video which are not that important, where Autopilot is actually driving correctly and smoothly and nothing is going on, but I want to make sure that you understand that these parts are actually the good parts of Autopilot, where it performs as it should. Now we are going to exit the highway again. As we put on the right turn signal, Autopilot does this highway exit much more elegantly than the first one and actually exits the highway correctly. We're still on Enhanced Autopilot, and any second now it's going to change back to regular Autopilot. When you can see the single blue tentacle, from the car, that is the Enhanced Autopilot, and when you can only see the two blue lines indicating the road lines now, that is the Standard Autopilot. So that's how you distinguish between them. As I said, Standard Autopilot being free is one of the miracles of buying a Tesla, because it's just so good for being free included on every car. But I can't really say the same about Enhanced Autopilot, at least not in Europe. I think, in my opinion, you don't even have to watch the whole video until the very end. It is not worth it at the moment, and I'm going to explain to you why that is during the rest of the video. As you can see, we're merging for the third time, trying to get onto the highway. I think this might be even the same spot that we tried the first time. And as we put on the left turn signal, there's a big truck that blocked our way, but now it is much more clear. But Autopilot, the Enhanced Autopilot, still doesn't do it really well. I am not exactly even sure if merging onto the highway is one of the features of Enhanced Autopilot, but I think it definitely should have. If it does have highway exits, it should also have highway merges, but you can let me know in the comments what you think about that. Either way, it can theoretically and even practically successfully merge onto the highway, but it's just nerve-wracking and stressful, like I mentioned before. Now that we're in the left lane, we're going a little bit too slow for that, because the speed limit in the Czech Republic is about 130 kilometers per hour, and there's nothing wrong about that, except that most people actually drive 10, 20, or even 30 and more over the speed limit. So you can see someone was driving behind us, and they were very anxious about wanting to go faster and couldn't overtake us, because overtaking on the right is actually also illegal in the Czech Republic. I know it's completely normal in the US, but here in the Czech Republic, and I guess most of the EU states, it is forbidden, and you always have to overtake on the left. I'm going to spoil it for you guys, but someone is going to be actually so angry at us that they're going to do this illegal maneuver and overtake from the right. Here's a nice successful automatic lane change, and right now we're driving again in the left lane, which is supposed to be only for overtaking. One of the advantages of Autopilot is that you can actually drive more than the speed limit. It has that kind of 10%-ish offset, so you can see that even 139 when the speed limit is 130 is no problem for Autopilot. There is a hard cap though, and that is 140 kilometers per hour. Not only can Enhanced Autopilot never go above that, if you press the accelerator button and functionally override Enhanced Autopilot to go above 140, it will actually disengage and give you a harsh warning and even a ban. And if you get more of these bans, you will be banned forever. So be really careful about that when you use this system. Overtaking a few trucks here with moderate success, still a bit too slow for the passing lane, but at least it changed lanes quickly enough this time. Right now we're merging back onto the right lane again, and there's a truck really closely in front of us, so this wasn't really a wise move. We should have stayed in the left lane, but both lanes are slowing down significantly, as you can also see visualized on the screen. I also don't like how Enhanced Autopilot gives you these camera views over the visualization. I think they should always be on the right portion of the screen when you have the visualization on the left portion, but you can move them around. You can also customize the aggressiveness or frequency of speed-based lane changes in the Autopilot settings. So far we've been showing you the default average setting, and now we're switching to mild because the car was returning to the right lane and getting stuck behind slow vehicles too often. You can also entirely disable speed-based lane changes and only leave navigation-based lane changes turned on, which will still allow you to exit the highway in time. Again, driving in the left lane, you can see 140, so that is the hard cap that I was talking about, but people behind us naturally want to go much faster than that. Because the driver moved the camera using his finger, the system freaked out and punished him and disengaged autopilot and put on the hazard lights and all of that just for touching the screen while going 140. But when the car makes you touch the screen to do basic stuff like that, why is it so angry at you when you do that? Okay, here comes another merge onto the highway. I think at this point you can already tell which parts of Autopilot work better and which work worse. And spoiler alert, this merge is also not going to be the best, but I think this was our best merging maneuver yet. It was done in time, it wasn't as stressful, and we have completed the maneuver successfully. Right now, again, driving really slowly behind this truck on the highway. And that is, I think, the biggest problem of Enhanced Autopilot. When you drive in the right lane, there's a lot of trucks usually in the Czech Republic, and therefore you want to ideally elegantly overtake these really slow trucks, which would mean putting in a considerable amount of acceleration and just going into the left lane, not at 90 kilometers per hour like we're doing and like Autopilot is probably going to do soon enough right now, but at like 120 at least. The problem is when everyone in the left lane is going close to 140 and above and you're going 90, they're almost 50 kilometers per hour faster than you, it is super challenging to actually merge and overtake someone going so slow. So the system would need to have a lot of foresight and see that slow truck way before it actually starts slowing down, to not have to slow down but overtake it in time, and then only go to the right when there's no trucks for at least half a kilometer or something. So right now we're going to probably see this in action. We have successfully overtaken this truck, but way too late. The car is going slightly over the speed limit, and right now it will probably suggest, yeah, like I said, going back to the right, because there's a lot of space and driving on the right is just the default. So this was, like, I think one of the best showcases of Enhanced Autopilot capabilities when it works like it is supposed to work. We're driving comfortably on the right, around the speed limit. There's a little bit of a slower van in front of us, and you can see that Enhanced Autopilot doesn't really mind. It slows down instead of trying to overtake. And that is justified because right now we have an exit upcoming. We need to get off the highway, so overtaking wouldn't even be practical in that scenario. This highway exit was super elegant and super nice, but Enhanced Autopilot bugs a little bit and still shows us the option to merge back onto the left while it's exiting. So you can see that the software isn't really fully developed or fully intelligent in this particular case. The reality is, the truth about Enhanced Autopilot is that this is 5 years or maybe even older software, and it doesn't really get better over time in the same sense that full self-driving does in the US. This was another pretty successful merge. It is a little bit better during the day when the cameras can see better, because in our other video where we tried Enhanced Autopilot for the first time during the night, the merges were a lot worse. And now comes one of the highlights of this video as we try at this gruesomely low speed to merge back onto the right, but this person whose car is highlighted in red on the screen is overtaking us illegally on the right, and is doing that pretty slowly too. We're driving now like really close to the speed limit, so he has to be speeding to overtake us. And this was a really dangerous maneuver by him, but you might argue that it was partially justified by us going so slowly in the passing lane. It is just perfect, and here is the first case of Enhanced Autopilot actually suggesting a lane change early enough so that we didn't really have to slow down too much. And this was perfectly executed at high speed, and we didn't have to get stuck behind that truck again, which happens most times when using Enhanced Autopilot. Now, as you enjoy the footage of us smoothly cruising in the right lane, overtaking one truck but getting stuck behind another one, further proving my point, let's talk about the other benefits of spending money on Enhanced Autopilot. First up, it's like buying half of full self-driving, which means if you buy Enhanced Autopilot today, you can later upgrade to FSD cheaper, which is great. Apart from the Navigate on Autopilot feature you're seeing in action right now, you also get Auto Park and Actually Smart Summon. Auto Park is great, but a bit too slow for more experienced drivers, and some of you mentioned that it's not ready for the tightest European parking spaces just yet. Actually Smart Summon would be awesome and let you summon your car across the parking lot, practically using unsupervised FSD, but there's a catch. European regulations limit this feature to a grotesquely short maximum distance of 6 meters or 20 feet in freedom units, so that makes it practically unusable for anything else than getting your car out of a tight parking spot, which can also be using the old dumb summon anyways. Another thing you have to consider as we unsuccessfully try to overtake this slow truck again on Enhanced Autopilot is that once you buy this package, there's a really low chance that you'll be able to transfer it to another vehicle. If you buy Enhanced Autopilot or Full Self-Driving, they're going to be locked in onto the vehicle that you purchased them on. And if you buy a new Tesla in 2 or 3 years, there is a small chance that there will be a transfer window, which has happened in the past, but I think the chance is really low and you shouldn't really count on it. You'll have to buy it again. Enhanced Autopilot wants to get back to the right, which only proves again that it doesn't see far enough to know that there's a truck which we will have to overtake again really soon, in just a few seconds, which is something that wouldn't happen on FSD. If you want to see that, subscribe to the channel. Now pay attention, as Enhanced Autopilot suggests changing lanes, but it suggested too late and there was a car in the way. So instead, we're slowing down to 90 or even 87 kilometers per hour again. This is not really a good time for anyone. Like, there's some rumors in the Czech Republic, which is full of EV haters, that, oh, if you drive an EV, you have to go really slowly behind a truck. And that's what we're doing right now, but not because we're having some range anxiety, but only because we're driving on Enhanced Autopilot, which cannot really elegantly overtake most of the time. Now pay attention as we overtake this truck. I'm not sure if Enhanced Autopilot is going to suggest we go back behind this truck that is in front of us, and it didn't, which is correct, really. It would be really horrendous if it suggested moving back to the right, but now it should do it really soon. Can you like the video faster than Autopilot suggests moving back? It does it, yeah, here's the suggestion. We put on the turn signal to the right, we nudge the steering wheel. You said in the comments that you don't even have to nudge the steering wheel in the right direction, like any nudge is good, so thank you for that clarification. And some of you even said that you don't have to nudge at all, which I seriously doubt, but if that's the case, it's only for hardware 4, the newest vehicles that are sold right now. And I guess they started with the hardware for Highland Model 3. Now we're getting the new Juniper 2025 Tesla Model Y, which I'm really excited to test. We're going to make some videos with that as well as soon as we can get it here in Europe, so subscribe for that if you want to see Juniper in action. This is also not comfortable driving because it's too slow again. Enhanced Autopilot doesn't really want to overtake. I hope it's clear by seeing this unedited, mostly, video of highway driving with Enhanced Autopilot to show you how does it actually work. So right now we should be speeding up a little bit faster. I just sped up the video so we could overtake some more of these guys, and we're going back to the right lane again. Driving 10 over the speed limit, I think that's really good that Autopilot allows you to do that, even if that's technically illegal. It's helping you to go with the flow of traffic much better. And here is a textbook highway exit on Enhanced Autopilot. It slowed down properly and significantly, and now it's slowing down even further. Sometimes I think it slows way too much on these highway exits, like you shouldn't have to go 45 in here. You could have gone 60 with no problem. We have the new curvature assist on both Enhanced and regular Autopilot, which makes it just handle curves a little bit better than before. I guess that's one of the only updates that we've gotten in the past few years. Whereas people driving with Tesla Full Self-Driving 13.5 now, they are getting updates every 2 weeks and the system is getting so much better. I think there was more than 500% improvement just in the last year or something like that in critical disengagements, which means that today, you have to disengage on full self-driving more than 5 times less than just a year ago. Speaking of critical disengagements, look at what Enhanced Autopilot does when it thinks it's still on the highway, but it has mistakenly entered a gas station and almost ran into this stationary truck parked on the gas station. This was one of the most horrific experiences on Autopilot. Should you invest your hard-earned money in this whole package or not? What I would suggest you do while you're driving in Europe is just wait. It's probably the best option to just use regular Autopilot and wait until we get either a subscription option, which will allow us to just use Enhanced Autopilot on a monthly basis, for example, pay $50 a month when you have a road trip upcoming or something like that, or even a subscription for full self-driving. Because Tesla said that full self-driving should be available in Europe in Q1 2025. That is only like 2 months left for them to actually deliver on that promise. I'm really interested if they do, and if they do, it's going to be a game changer. And it would be a really bad deal for everyone if you just bought Enhanced Autopilot today, because that doesn't get you the full benefits of full self-driving, but also doesn't get you anything special right now, as you can see on the screen. So what I would actually suggest you do is just use regular Autopilot and then make it a little bit better with some third-party tools like buttons from Enhanced, the infamous sexy buttons, which can actually make it so that Autopilot automatically re-engages when you change your lane. And as you can see, it is much better and smoother to just change lanes yourself while on a long road trip and let Autopilot do the most boring part of the driving, just centering you in the lane during the part of the adaptive cruise control and auto steer, but changing lanes, yeah, I don't know. Right now, I think it's not worth it. It's too nerve-wracking and it's far from FSD. If this was at least like running on FSD and the software and the ability and the intelligence was there, then I think it would be worth the money. But right now it's just this really robotic, not really great software stack that is stale and old and doesn't deliver on its value. That is just what I'm seeing right now while we're testing and using this system. And what do you think? Give us your honest opinion about both the Enhanced Autopilot and Basic Autopilot package in the comments. And also tell us, when exactly do you think we will get full self-driving in Europe? I just can't wait, but we've already gotten our first glimpses of full self-driving by using Actually Smart Summon, which you can check out by clicking this video right here.